negative emotions are always created from the responsibilities we avoid. And that's always the case. And one thing I found with employees is that I've learned, we come from the same generation. You earn it, people are tough on you, and you grind it out. Sometimes I'm tough on people, and I do it with love. And they take it. They're like, you're being a jerk. You're being hard. I'm hard on you because I actually care about your well-being, because it's good for you that I'm hard on you. So if you want to become the person that has these goals outlined that you tell me, that's how you're going to get there. You can't be soft. You gotta focus, be committed to what you're doing.
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, as always, I got a real treat for you. Mr. Ben Reinberg in the house. What's up, Ben?
Hey, Brad. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invite and come to Vegas to see you.
Well, I got a real live mogul on my hands, folks. This dude's into commercial real estate. He's got, well, you're an entrepreneur, I would say. You have a bunch of businesses, don't you?
Yeah, we have different businesses.
But and I notice how you always say we.
Yes.
But this doesn't say we. It says Ben.
You know why we say we?
Why?
Is because I would not be here today, Brad, without all the people that have helped me throughout my career. And if I was selfish, I would say I. But that's not my personality. I have Midwestern values. I come from Chicago. My headquarters are based in Chicago. And for us, it's always been a we. You cannot be in commercial real estate, Brad, without that mentality. You can't do it alone. You have to be vulnerable. You got to seek out mentors, ask for advice. If you take this approach where you're always right and you don't have an open mind and open up that filter, you'll lose in our business. Because
I think in any business.
Oh, I agree with you. And in this business, it's all about the ability to hold. It's not location like residential. When it comes to commercial real estate, it's about the ability to hold. Well, you have to learn what that really means. And when you're younger, when I started this business when I was in my early 20s with nothing but shoe leather and sweat, and there was no internet, I had to figure out who can I reach out to learn all the nuances about commercial real estate investing so I don't lose my butt. And what ended up happening was you end up developing more resources. So at my company Alliance, we say we're resource rich because that's what you have to become in your career. There's 3 stages in commercial real estate most people don't know, Brad. You start the first third of your career on your back, the second third on your feet, and the last third on your stomach. I am currently in the prime of my career on my stomach, and you work hard to get here. It's nothing but long hours, weekends, just like I'm sure you do. When no one's looking, you're here on a Saturday. That's what it takes.
But why on your stomach?
Because on your stomach, you could swim, you can navigate quickly through water. And that's why they say on your stomach, because when you do deals, you have to be able to react quickly. You have to be able to get through deals, be able to underwrite it, assess risks, get them financed. It's a competitive marketplace. It's a global marketplace.
Well, can I suggest one more level?
Yeah.
Like even higher than on your stomach?
I'd love to hear it.
On your ass.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's where you end up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And on your back too.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking the levels are, that's why on your stomach, you're like, on my stomach, like I'm still like, I'd want to be on my back or I'd want to be on my ass. Like, in other words, free finally. What level's that?
That's a good stage because that means you're retired.
Exactly. Right. That's on my ass,
and
doing nothing.
Eventually I'll be there. The issue I have is I am such in love with what I do. And I am so good at what I do because what I do, Brad, is a marathon business. There are stacking of levels to experience level to get to this point in my career.
And there's no hard labor, correct?
Well,
not for you.
Not for me, but is there hard? It's long hours. It's a lot of travel. I've traveled all over the place.
Looking at buildings, or what are you doing traveling?
Looking at buildings, meeting lenders, meeting investors, other resources we have, dealing with issues constantly. It is a taxing business. It's not for the faint of heart. If you are not in it for the long haul, you won't be successful in commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is a marathon business. And people that don't think about that, because what I see in this business, Brad, in any business, is people ebb and flow. Like when things are tough, like what we're seeing with a recession, and as it gets deeper, what you end up seeing is the brokers and people that don't work hard, they fall by the wayside. The players end up shining in tough environments. That's what I love about my business.
Again, that's most of them.
That's right.
So, folks, in case you haven't figured it out, Ben is the CEO of Alliance, Consolidated group of companies. which is mainly commercial real estate. Zero multifamily?
Zero multifamily. It doesn't mean as we continue to grow, we might not we will probably open a division for multifamily, but our expertise, like I told you before, office, industrial, and retail. That's how I learned the business.
But you have syndication. You have funds that you open up to people. Do they have to be accredited?
Right now, they have to be accredited.
So all accredited investors?
We've seen other people, they go and they raise $5,000 from individuals in their Class A type subscription. And here's the issue. When you open the door for an unaccredited investor, generally speaking, more maintenance, more attention, more litigation.
More liability.
More liability, for sure. We don't want those issues. We want sophisticated investors. A minimum is $100,000. They're usually call funds. It's called over time. And either you can commit to that or you can't. And there's millions of people, millions around the world that are accredited investors. We could take investors from all over the world. So why not play in a space of sophistication? Because we're a very sophisticated business and company, and we excel at a certain level. Either you're a high performer and you come into our universe, or you're not.
And you've been doing this for how long?
For almost 3 decades.
So, and you started it.
Yes.
So you started it with nothing.
Yes.
$0.
Zero.
And what made you decide commercial real estate?
Well, I'll tell you, so coming from Chicago, I've always been an entrepreneur. I sold cigarettes in a bar when I was 8 years old. I always had that drive. I used to look at my parents. My father worked for the railroad, and I would see him put on the blue suit, during the Reagan years, and with the red tie, and he'd take the train from Highland Park to Chicago in the cold weather, ice and snow. I saw my mom grinding as an office manager for an architectural firm, and I saw their life, and I said, well, that's not building wealth. That's working for someone. And it's not that it's honorable work. I value my parents. I think they're wonderful people. But I looked at it and I said, that's not who I want to be. I want to have my own business. I want to control my own destiny. I was a rebel as a kid. I never wanted people to tell me what to do. And so I had to figure out, and I said, well, what can I do? So I was reading a book about buying assets to produce cash flow. It was late at night. I was in my early 20s. I read it twice in a matter of 24 hours. And I looked at Brad and I said, you know what? This is who I want to be. I want to be wealthy. I want to be an icon. I was looking at people like the Pritzkers and the Crowns and Sam Zell, God rest his soul, he just passed away in Chicago. We have all these icons in commercial real estate, from people who own Hyatt hotels and you name it. Dave Sherman. I mean, there's hundreds of icons in Chicago. And so real estate's in our blood in Chicago, and the good work ethic. So Brad, I looked at it and I said, why couldn't I do that? Why couldn't I be someone like the Crowns or the Pritzkers and be in that caliber? And so I started looking. I said, well, what gets me there? Commercial real estate has the most billionaires in the world historically, and it will always be that way. God is never making any more land, and we get great tax benefits. And when you can own commercial real estate, you can build wealth over a significant period of time. So I looked at the business and I said, that's what I want to do. I'm a CPA. I know numbers really well. And I looked at Brad and I said, you know what? This is what I need to do. So I did my first deal when I was young. I syndicated it, bought it for a little over like $2.8 million, raised a few $1 million, got a loan. My godfather, Bruno, went into his bank. I was young. I said, I need a loan. He said, what do you need it for? I said, I'm buying an industrial asset in the Chicago area. Okay, let me get it through. Got me an 80 loan to value loan, signed with recourse. How I got this loan, Brad, as a young man was like, it's unheard of.
With recourse?
With recourse. But I had nothing to lose. What are you getting from a guy who has nothing? So I looked at it and I said, well, worst case, what's my fear? I'll just go back to where I was. Or if I do it and I could do it well, maybe this will launch me. And that's what it did. So in the first week I buy this asset, Brad, it's a 2-tent industrial building in Chicago, right next to an area that's about to skyrocket. It was an old Navy base that they were rebuilding. So I buy this building. It's 95,000 square feet. It's first deal out of the box. It's
good sized building.
Yeah, a little under $3 million. It's older. First week, I lose 45% of the income. Guy picks up and moves out of the building. Okay, this is my first deal. I got to deal with.
Do you think the owner knew that was going to happen?
Oh, for sure. But the owners were good to me in my careers. There were two icons, one of the largest home builders in the United States, big in commercial real estate. They probably knew something. So I backfilled it, made it a 3-tenant building. I increased the value, renewed leases. I took that 2.8 million, sold it for 6.4 million. That launched me. And I was a young guy, and that built my confidence. And I said, okay, I can do
You're like,
this.
damn, this is a good business.
Yeah, I said, now I understand why people love this business. So I took that and I parlayed it to more syndications. We started doing build-to-suits for big companies. And ever since that, I've been rolling. And then we've been open up. We have offices and staff all over the country now.
Now, when you say build to suit, explain that.
So we would have a company come to us. So name any company. Let's say back in the day.
Chevron.
So Chevron would come to us and they'd say, Alliance, build us a building. Okay. We'll build you a building. We'll bring in 5 general contractors. We'll do a dog and pony show in our showroom, in our conference room. We all had conference rooms back in the day, if you remember those times. And we'd bring them in. We would price out, do a competitive bid, a dog and pony show. We'd draw concentric circles for the executives to find a location within a mile, 5 miles, 3 miles of where they lived. So because the executives always wanted to be close to work. So we knew the model, and then we looked at their employees and we drew circles. Where are they coming from to find the best location? We'd buy the land. We'd clean it up if we have to. We'd build them the building, and they'd have a choice. Either they could buy the building from us, or we'd buy it and we'd develop it for them and we'd lease it back to them. And we did millions of square feet that way. And then what that showed us was we did a few consulting deals. We saw a building that was, it was one of the technology companies back in the day. And it was in
like a Dell or something?
Yeah, it was like a 3M type, whatever, one of these tech companies from San Jose came into Chicago, right in Schaumburg, Main and Main, 2 major arteries, which are expressways. On the West Coast, we call them freeways. And it was about, 250,000 building we built. And I don't know, maybe the price at that time was 14 million. We saw the guy sell it for 64 million. And we said, okay, now we know where we got to go with this. And that's when we started syndicating. And ever since that, we've done hundreds of syndications. We have high net worth accredited investors from around the United States and the world.
Where do you find them?
A lot of it started with shoe leather. When I was younger, I hustled and spoke, and I spoke at colleges, and I was out there and I was hustling. And so I would just go meet, say, a guy like you and say, well, a lot of people say, well, what do you do? And I start expressing what we do, and it's very sexy to people. And we have a lot of doctors. So for example, another way we find investors, Brad, is the doctors that sell us their buildings. We'll go on a property tour and I start talking to them and they'll say, Ben, what do you do? And I'll say, and we prep them. We know what they like. I might bring them a bottle of wine before I meet them to break the ice. And they say, what do you do? I said, well, we make people a tremendous amount of money through commercial real estate. Really? What do you invest in? Medical properties. Oh, well, we're doctors. We understand what you do. So you're buying all our colleagues' properties and getting rental income, and you'll pay us a return on our capital? Yeah. How do I get into your funds? How do I get into your universe? Well, we have to qualify you. We have to interview. We don't let anyone invest with us. We interview them. It's the privilege. You're going to come into Alliance's world. You gotta step up and because we don't want problems, Brad. You don't want people involved in your universe that are going to cause issues in your life. So we qualify people, and it becomes exclusive. So when I give you the opportunity to come into our funds or our syndications, it's a privilege. You have almost 30 years track record. You have 200 plus years of leadership team experience handling all these nuances. And you have to be solution oriented. And so when people say to me, well, who do you invest in if you invest in other sponsors? I always say to people, I want to know how they solve problems, because that's the horse I'm riding, Brad. And any business, even if it's not commercial real estate. So if you and I invest in a business into someone that's operating a business, I'm going to say, how do they deal with problems? They'll pay us a quarterly return. But when the chips are down, I want to know who rises to the occasion. Because that, to me, is the person you could bet on in life, is how do you handle problems? And that's what I see in my business. I see that in my staff. I see that in my inner circle of team between accountants, lawyers. I want to know, how do you solve problems? Because that's, to me, is how you survive so long in business. And it's challenging. And so I'm very careful. I tell people, be very careful who you surround yourself with. I see this with employees and colleagues. And what drives me nuts is you see toxic people. I'm sure you've seen it. You bring in a toxic employee, it starts bleeding through departments. Then you say to yourself, all right, I've learned that lesson.
Yeah, but how do you identify them? Because, man, sometimes they interview well.
Yeah, they do. What we do is we have different ways to test them. We use this test called the Achiever. I'm happy to show it to you. We have a 90-year-old gentleman from Philadelphia who taught me this. What that test does is it'll show you everything. Long-term goals, how do they communicate? Are they going to be a problem? It could predict pattern and behavior. Another way, we have another recruiter who uses the Colby test, which is really outstanding. So we have someone that brings in administrative assistants, office managers, admin type jobs. She puts them through the gauntlet. And you could just tell who's going to survive by personalities. Their way, just by interviewing them now, I ask certain questions. One of my favorite questions that I could tell where someone's going is I say, well, if I write you a check for $10 million, what are you going to do with it? Because we interviewed a lady the other day, and I'll tell you, I asked her that question. And she was interviewing for my new executive personal assistant, which I just hired. And too bad Jamie can't be here. She's wonderful. But when I were interviewing for Jamie's position, Brad, what ended up happening was I asked this lady, and she goes, well, I'm really into dogs and cats and pets. I go, okay. I go, what would you do with the $10 million? She goes, oh, I would buy that motel down the road in Laguna and open up a facility because that's what I love. I go, well, that's what you should be doing. So I find out like what is really in their heart and what they want to be doing, because human nature will gravitate to you of what you need to do. I don't want people working at Alliance that are just looking for a paycheck. I want someone that doesn't want growth. I have no ceiling in my company. I want to see you grow. I want longevity. So the other way I do it is we do what's called a life book on everyone. We have them take a playbook on themselves where I could see like, so let's say you were my employee and let's say time with your family is important, right? Or let's say you're into health and fitness and wellness. We look at everything for our employees and we align what they want with the company to create longevity. So we just have certain values that you have to be transparent, you have to have integrity, consistency, and expertise to work at my company, Alliance. And either you have it or you don't. And I'm very selective because, again, I want longevity. I don't want problems. I want to know, just like you do, if you're out traveling with your family or you're going on vacation or you're going on a business trip or you're going to speak, last thing you need to worry about is what's going on here at Lightspeed. And it's tough. We're in the same seat. And I feel these are the things we have to deal with as owners. And it's always been a challenge. And with technology and the millennials, and I look at my kids and the trophy generation, this entitlement, it's a tough group to understand. It's like, wait a minute, Brad, I deserve this salary. Wait a minute, you didn't earn it. So you're talking to a kid, I've had to earn everything I have. So in fact, when someone comes into my universe and they don't want to earn it, you're dealing with the wrong guy. And I'm sure you're the same way once I get to know you, is that you have to earn everything. Life's not free. And people don't invest in Alliance because I didn't grind and work my butt off to get here. So there's a disconnect what's going on in our society. It concerns me with this younger generation.
Well, and not only that, but you have a track record. So it's much easier to invest in someone with a track record.
Absolutely.
By the way, if anybody's listening and they're like, damn, dude, I want in on this fund, how would somebody get to you?
Well, there's a couple ways. They can go to benreinberg.com and follow me on social media and DM me if they want to get to me directly. The other way they could do is go to my company website, which is alliancecgc.com. So it's alliancecgc.com. They can log on. They can see articles we've written on medical office, what we do, and other asset classes, testimonials from all walks of life in our business, investors. The website speaks on its own if you don't know who we are. And then you can log on to the Alliance Medical Property Fund, our new fund, and reach out to us.
That's a new fund.
It's a brand new fund. It launched about 4 or 5 months ago. It's doing really well. We bought assets. We raise money every day. We have a great investor relations department. What I'm big on is white glove service. I will not allow someone in my firm that does not value every single penny everyone earned. Imagine this, Brad. Imagine you lived in Chicago and you were dealing with cold weather, ice and snow to get to work, and you made a lot of money and you grinded, and all of a sudden you invest with Alliance. If you don't appreciate what that person went through to make his money, just like with you, and you don't value it, we should not be a fiduciary capital. And I install that in my company. You have to adhere to best practices if you work at Alliance. And so what that does, it provides a great 7-star experience for the investor.
You got me sold.
Well, we're going to grab you after the show.
But I mean, it sounds like you put a lot of integrity and ethics and structure with it.
We'll go back to what I said. It's a marathon business. If you don't treat it like a marathon business, it's not a get-rich-quick business. Now, I have a lot of investors that worked at maybe like the Chicago Mercantile State that made millions in a day, and they're spoiled. But when they come into our universe, I'm like, look, this is probably a 5-year hold. There's tax benefits. It's not in and out quickly. I am making decisions to protect your capital. So for example, if we think we're selling a property in 3 years and I have to hold it till 5 to protect your capital and build a better return and protect you, I'm going to do that. I sit in a seat. I have to make a lot of tough decisions every day about these investments, about tenants. And so it grinds on you. Your skin gets so thick that you almost lose yourself. And that's how I got into personal development 5 years ago. Because I was like, who is the real Ben Reinberg? Because I was starting to lose who I was. I was identified as this commercial real estate guy, but I lost who I was as a person. And that's when I got into personal development.
Is that where I Own It comes in?
That's where I Own It came in, because you have to own every aspect of your life. And for years I was like, okay, I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm a father, a husband. I got kids I'm raising, but I got no life. I'm just a commercial real estate guy. So I had to take a step back and find mentors and coaches and all over the world and guys in our business. And I said, how do you deal with this? Like, the goal was to make a shitload of money and become wildly successful. Well, now that I'm here, I'm not fulfilled. What am I missing? They said, it's real simple. You're searching for happiness, Ben, and it ain't there. You need happiness in yourself in order to create your environment around you. That's what you're missing. I took a step back. I'm like, they're right. And that's when I took a look at myself, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I got to change. And that's when I started to change. And then ever since that, Brad, the business even took off even more.
Yeah.
Because money started gravitating. People started saying, we like this side of him. We like the fact that he's more empathetic. We like the fact that he doesn't have to be tough as nails, because that's how he learned life. So I had to change. And that's why I recommend when people say to me, well, what do I need to do? Work on yourself. Become the best version of yourself, and everything else will change.
You can follow him, by the way, at The Real Ben Reinberg, very much like The Real Brad Lee.
That's right.
But it's The Real Ben Reinberg, REIN, Berg, BERG. He's got a podcast called I Own It. Make sure you go subscribe and listen to that. How many episodes you got of that?
I think I got to guess. I bet you we're probably 90 shot. We're coming up on a year anniversary, Brad, this year.
Right on.
So we started in May. And
what are you talking about mainly? Owning it, like self-development stuff?
It could be health, wealth, relationships, business, commercial real estate. It could be anything. It's
kind of
basically
like dropping bombs.
It's like dropping bombs, I guess, in a way.
Probably
I didn't know about your show until recently.
A little more professional.
What's that?
A little more professional.
No, I think this is really cool. You have a great studio. I love this studio. This is hot. This is really cool what you do.
Well, I mean,
like your show.
A lot of our conversation, even though I get emails and letters from people all around the world, it's amazing what because I'm reading these emails and they're like, dude, your podcast, I've been listening to it for 2 years, man. It's changed my life.
That's great.
And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I get another one, then another one, then another one. And eventually you're starting to think, wow, man, I guess this is actually helping people.
Yeah, it is.
And it really does help people. I've had people, because we talk about everything like that. I mean, we talk about health, wealth, love, fitness, relationships, business, crashing, burning. I had a guy on here one time that basically was homeless almost. Someone goes, why you got a homeless guy on your show? Well, because you can learn from those guys too.
That's right.
You don't have to learn from someone that's successful. You can learn from someone that's unsuccessful. So you don't become that way.
That's right.
So you can learn from everybody. I like it. So it's all over, I'm assuming.
It's success to significance. So for example, if you came on the show, you've been successful, and then we look at your significance, like what you're doing. Like, this is significance, what we're doing right here. Those are our guests. So we have celebrities from all walk of life, ultra high net worth individuals. Those are really our focus. And then we have some other folks as well. And celebrities are like, we could have like a Chris Voss on our show to a JJ version. We're working on getting Gene Simmons from Kiss on our show.
That's a smart guy right there.
We'll probably we're going to look at working on Andy Cohen and doing that in person. We're going to start doing more in person. And so those are kind of the areas we're playing in to grow the show. And I'm excited because, you know, when I first did the show, I'll be honest with you, I was raw, Brad. I was nervous. People were like, what are you nervous about? Like, you grew this business, you're a businessman. Like, I'm like, and you speak before to schools and to college kids. Like, what are you nervous about? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just unknown, but I'm jumping in like I do with everything. So we did our first episode, and then after episode 5 got better, and then 10. And now I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I would definitely say I've improved, and I continue to improve. and I get great criticism from people, and I'm having fun. I'll tell you something. What is better networking than what we're doing right now? We could swap information. I could find more about you, how I can help you, bring you resources maybe you don't have, vice versa.
Theoretically, you could be selling them without them even knowing it.
Right.
I've done that a few times because
sure.
someone will be like, well, I'm thinking about doing this. And I'll be like, oh, interesting. Da-da-da-da-da. And by the end, they're like, well, so dude, show me what you do here.
Right. Exactly.
Boom, easy deal.
Right. You're educated.
Not to mention, sometimes when you want to get around certain targets or people that you've been wanting to get around, but you can't, sometimes a podcast is a great way. Again, you got to have one at least, I always say, 50 to 100 episodes.
Yeah. So
because you're still fairly new, but yes. 90s respectable.
I think we could be close to 100. We have a lot in the can. We have a lot more. It was getting to a point, Brad, where I said to my staff, I got to work. Like, this is great, the personal brand stuff. My love is Alliance, but I know this is helping it. And so I said, I'm not shooting 6 in a week. You guys are killing me. Let's do 1 or 2. And so we're kind of paring it back.
Or shoot 6 in a day.
Yeah, you could do that too. And that's one of the things we're looking at. I said, can we make it a Friday and do like 2 in a row and be done? And just
who
do
are you
2
asking? Who's in charge of you?
I have a staff that
you
handles
just tell
it.
them. You don't tell them. You ask them.
I tell them. I tell them like, hey, let's do 2. But the problem is, if you bring on a high profile guest, like we brought on a guest a few months ago, really high profile. I don't remember his name. I think it was James Pratt. And James came on. He came down from LA. And he had to do a certain day. So they're like, look, he needs to do a Tuesday. You want him on the show, make it happen. So you do an audible.
Sure.
And that will happen. But what they're trying to do is they're taking a step back. They're looking at my schedule and saying, what do you want? Because I really didn't know. I was like, all I want to do is get started, and whatever it takes, I'll do it, because that's my mindset. Well, now that we're in it and we're getting established and we're a year under our belt as of May 31st, our first episode launch, I said, Brad, all right, let's be a little smarter now. Okay, we're established. People want to be on the show. We have great recruiters to bring on talent. My name's getting out there on social media. It's growing. Okay. And the content's good. Well, you know what? I don't have to do 6 shows in a week. Let's do 1 or 2. Let's find really, really high profile guests and keep it exclusive, just like our investments. And people are going to want to get on the show, just like with you. People want to get on Dropping Bombs. And so it's the Birkenback theory. And that's what I want to create. And so the podcast is fun, and I'm having fun with it. And I love the networking. I love the connections.
Great networking.
It's best. I mean, how great is this that you and I get to talk for however long and connect? Where are we going to go meet for coffee? It's not the same connection. So,
hey, you want to spend an hour a week with me helping you become a business badass? Well, check out my group in the link below.
Yeah, podcasts, I tell everyone they should have one. When I started this, everyone told me, dude, everyone's got a podcast. You know how hard it is to get a podcast going? I'm like, dude, you buy a couple of microphones and you have a conversation and you record it and then you upload it and you're done. Like, what's so hard about it? Yeah, but like, dude, there's just so many of them. Everyone and their dog has one. And I didn't listen to them because I never listen to shit people say. And I did it. And the next thing you know, boom, people are calling in going, dude, you changed my life. You saved my life, this, that, and the other thing. And that's the goal. So, and not only that, I had a lot of big names coming through here. And so I thought, why not just, put them on a microphone while they're filming their courses and shit. So I said, just, let me just stop. And so I did one, and somebody said, dude, you guys were dropping bombs. I hadn't even named it yet. So my very first episode, if you go all the way back to the beginning, I don't even say dropping bombs because I didn't have a name for it. I just said, hey, while you're here, you want to jump on and do a quick podcast? They're like, podcast? I'm like, yeah, it's just talking on an interview. They say, yeah. Bam. Next thing you know, dude, I get this top 10 in business. People start saying I changed their life. People, approaching me that are significant people wanting to be on. And I'm thinking, dude, I've been trying to get a hold of your ass for a while. So I'm like, yeah. And then the next thing you know, I close deals. Next thing you know, I make buddies, all kinds of opportunities. Best. It's the best. Everyone should have one. My last guest kind of teaches people how to get top guests. He gets all the top guests. But good, man. So let's go back to building a company with nothing.
Right.
So you pick real estate because you were smart enough to realize. But so when you said you bought your first one, how did you have any money? Like, how did you raise the $2 million? You just talked to people that you knew that had it? Because to me, like, I know a lot of people. I could probably raise $100 million, but to raise the money, they have to, I would assume, because I've never done it, they would have to know what it's for. Like I'd say, Ben, I'm about to go buy some commercial real estate. You want to put a couple million in?
Right.
And then they'd say, well, what's the return? And I'd be like, I don't know. Well, have you ever done it before? No, but dude, it can't be that hard.
That's the magic. So when I was younger, it was all personal face-to-face meetings. And because I'm a CPA and I understood the math, I put together a package that would stand on its own.
So you put together a business plan.
So I put together a package.
So did you pick the building on the one you wanted? Did you pick that
I knew
first?
the building I had under contract. Okay. I put earnest money down. I borrowed the earnest money to put down. Went and had enough time. Put together a package. I would work 24/7, Brad. I was determined. I was like, no one's saying I cannot buy this building. I'm going to do this. And so I went and got the loan quote so I could model the numbers. I said, okay, I could pay an 8% preferred return. This is pretty nice.
And still make how much yourself?
Right. And still make whatever. Let's say it was an 80-20 deal. Okay. And make a few $100,000, which was a shitload of money for Ben Reinberg back a long time ago.
Sure.
And so I looked at it and said, okay, I could make a property management fee. I can make an asset management fee. I can make an acquisition fee when I buy it. So I got money in my pocket. Better salary than anything else I could do right now.
Plus you're the boss.
Exactly. And I control my own destiny. So I went out to the market and I went out to just people in business and networking and a health club. And I would just start asking people like, hey, you ever invest in commercial real estate? I have a great deal. I'm paying 8% preferred return. What do you think? I was fearless as a kid.
See, when people tell me that though, I always get scared. Like, number one, who are you? And number two, how do I know you're going to give me 8% preferred return?
Well, here's the deal. You can go see the property. Okay. Everything is transparent. Here's where the money is in the bank. Here's where we're financing the deal. Here's who I am. And you show up in a suit and tie and polished shoes and you play the part. You know, you fake it till you make it in a way when you're younger to show that, hey, you have the confidence. I would walk in the confidence. I would sit in front of a 6-year-old man or woman. I would say, here's what I need. Minimum's $50,000 in a unit. I'm raising, say, $2 million, 2.2 at the time, whatever it was. And I would just go do it. My mindset was, I'm doing this, Brad, and you're going to have to drag me on the street until I'm bleeding until I don't raise this money.
Did anybody ever say, I'll fund the whole thing, kid?
No, I never had that because it was more about, I'll take a unit or 2 units. And then I would say, like, who else do you know that would love to invest in an investment like this? Who do you know? And they would say, you know what, let me bring in my friend Tony or Steve or Jack or Jane. Come on in. And then I would perform. And that was my job. So can you imagine how scary it is when the first week you have a vacancy and you're like, holy shit, I have to pay preferred returns and I got to figure this out and write a letter to the investors like it's not going so well as the young guy. It's his first deal. And I tackled it and I made it work. And I learned a lot of lessons. One of the lessons I've learned with investors for everyone out there is you have to communicate the good or bad. You have to be transparent. That's how you build longevity in commercial real estate. You have to.
And trust.
Tell them the good and bad. People know things happen in life. Deals happen. I always say if I go 8 for 10 out of my career with someone, that's phenomenal. My investors think I should go 9 or 10, which I think is crazy because they have this high expectation of me in alliance. But it's just not the case. Not everything's going to be perfect. But with this particular deal we're talking about was we were able to sustain and make it work, pay returns again, 3x the profit to the investors. And that's what launched me. And so when it comes to raising equity, you don't stop. There's no like taking Saturday and Sundays off. See, the biggest thing that some of these kids have when they're raising equity, Brad, is that they're not hungry enough. They're not hungry to raise equity. They're not committed. They don't know what the word commitment means. Some of these people out there, they think they do. You know, people go and they sit in these cold plunges and that's commitment. And that's cool.
I just got one of those.
That
is
cool.
commitment.
That is commitment. I've done that for 3 minutes. And
Have you ever done it?
Well, I've done the body once, but one of my mentors, I went to his house in LA, and he said to me, take off your shirt. I said, all right. He goes, do me a favor. He goes, I don't want to get your sweater all nasty. I go, fine. Took off my shirt. It's like 45 degrees out up in Los Angeles today. I drove up from Orange County. I go, what do you want? He goes, come in the back. He pulls open the cold plunge. There's a layer of ice on top. I go, okay, this is like cryo, which I haven't done in a while. So he says, put your arms, and I put my arms on his shoulder. He goes, no one's ever made it past a minute. I know you will. Let's go. Times it. I go 1.5 minutes.
With your arm?
With my arms in to my shoulders. And it's freezing outside up there for Los Angeles. It's cold. And he said, good job. I go, he goes, no one's ever made it past a minute. You did 1.5 minutes. Good. He goes, don't forget what commitment looks like. I said, great. So I have a lot of mentors that do crazy stuff to me to teach me the lessons of life. And so what I've learned is that through the years, when it comes to raise equity or in this business, is people aren't committed. Especially when it comes to raising equity, you have to do whatever it takes to get the job done 24/7. Sunday, you have to grind. And people, Brad, just don't want to grind anymore. They want things handed to them for free, easy. And there's no easy way to make a buck. You got to focus. You know that.
Somebody asked me the other day, what's the best way to get rich?
Yep.
And I said, quickly.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the best way.
Because human nature, I get lazy, right?
Well, not only that, but I mean, it is possible to get rich quick, especially now with the internet and everything. But quickly isn't the same thing as easily.
Right.
I didn't say as easy.
That's right.
Quick's the best way. But it doesn't usually happen quickly, obviously. I thought I'd be rich in 90 days when I started this company in 1999. Keep in mind, no one was training online in 1999.
That's right.
Nobody. So I literally started the thing. I'm training online. Everyone said I was crazy. But when I started this business, dude, I would have bet my life that within 90 days, I'm going to be a millionaire. And 90 days would go by and people would say, are you a millionaire? And I'm like, no, but I'm telling you right now, bro, 90 more days, come back and see me.
I'll be there.
And then 90 more days would go by. They'd come back. How you doing? And I'd say, dude, I'm telling you, 90 more days. And literally for about 8 or 9 years, I was dragging a dead horse. I just didn't realize it because I truly believed that in 90 days, bro. And even if you ask me to this day, like 90 days from now, we got some big shit cooking here. Like 90 days, dude, the world's going to look different. It's just this 90 days at a time. And I keep telling people, how do you get anything you want in 90 days? I'm going to write a book that's how do you get anything you want in 90 days? And it's very simple. You figure out what you want first, because that's, believe it or not, harder than most people think.
Right.
Truly what you want. Because a lot of people think what they want, but they're not really sure.
Right.
So you figure out exactly what you want. Then you put your freaking nose down and work your ass off for 90 days and then look up and you'll have it. And if you don't, guess what you do? You put your nose down for 90 days and you look up and you'll have it. And guess what if you don't? You put your nose down and people go, well, that's not 90 days. Yes, it is, because every 90 days you look up and you start again. And eventually, if you keep doing that, dude, you will get anything you want in 90 days.
You're absolutely right. First of all, it's so well said. Persistence is everything. The one thing I struggle with people, especially employees and colleagues, is consistency. They say, Brad, like, why am I not an expert? Why am I not successful? Because you're not consistent in your behavior. You don't have a routine in the morning, maybe, or you say you're going to work out, but you're not committed to working out. There's no consistency.
I've been there a million times.
Yeah,
I'm just getting back into shape.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again,
what do you do for your health? Do you work out or?
Yeah, I work out. I lift every day.
Okay.
30 minutes of cardio.
Okay.
And I eat.
It's great.
Technically paleo/carnivore like.
Okay.
But nothing too crazy because I already know myself.
Right.
You know, I ain't going too crazy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, listen, I don't want to be crazy.
Right.
And I'm about to start cold plunging.
All right.
Only because, dude, several of my buddies
Uh-huh.
say it is life-changing.
Yeah, that's what I hear too. It's basically, it's a 3 to 4 hour dopamine hit. It's like if you snorted cocaine.
That's what I heard.
You would hit it's like a 2x dopamine hit. And
Well, I
that's what
have
you'll
snorted cocaine before.
Okay, well, you'll be able to tell me when you do your cold plunge. I want to hear from you and hear how it goes, because I might have to get one too.
If it feels like I snorted cocaine,
Yeah.
but I didn't, I just sat in the tub for 3 minutes. Dude, I'll sit in the tub twice a day, every 4 hours.
Here's what I think is going to happen to you. I think you're going to have this injection of energy, and you're going to be more productive in the morning. Like, you're going to want to do your best work in the morning because you're going to have that hit.
That's what I also hear.
Happen.
A cold plunge, then workout.
Ooh.
To raise your body temperature. Apparently it just like does crazy shit with your HGH and your
Wow.
testosterone levels. So I didn't buy one. They gave me one. And just let me give them a little shout out. Cold plunge, by the way, and I did the research, and all my rich friends have the same one. It is the best one you can get. Not because they gave me one, but it is because they gave me one. Is
that the one that looks like a white bathtub?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it cleans itself, and it's like, really clear water, and it's got a cover. It's the best one out there. I looked all around.
Really?
But cold plunge, and I think it's coldplunge.com. But if not,
how often are you doing it? Once a day?
It just showed up.
Okay.
I haven't even been in it once.
All right.
But all my friends say, dude, it's going to change your life. And not only that, but it gets rid of the brown fat. I'm like, what the hell's brown fat? They're like, that's that stubborn fat that won't go away. Some people call it visceral fat. It's the fat inside your organs.
Oh.
And I'm like, dude, you just hit a good word for me, because now I'm getting in shape, and I'm never going to be out of shape again.
Right.
Like, dude, I got in pretty good shape. If you go back on my social media, and you can tell on my social media because I film every day. So every time you see a video come out, that's what I look like, because that's me. So you saw me get real lean. Everyone was like, dude, you're looking good. And I was walking around, and my veins were starting to pop out, and I was like looking good, dude. But my shirt went from an XL to a large.
Okay.
And I thought the large was starting to get a little baggy. And I'm thinking, dude, am I going to a medium?
You might be.
Like, I don't want to be a medium. I was a big dude. I like being kind of a big dude. And then, my waist went from a 36 to a 34, then a 33. And I'm like, dude, I can't be a 32. Like, isn't that like almost girl size? And that's what was going through my head. But then I see the pictures, and I'm like, dude, I look great there. I look great there. Well, I hurt my arm, decided not to work out for a little while. If I'm not working out, why should I eat that well? Right. So I started, let me cheat a little here and there. And the next thing you know, I'm looking at my videos. I didn't even notice in the mirror, because I see myself every day. Right. I'm looking at my videos, and I'm like, dude, I got a pumpkin head again. Like, look at my neck.
Let me ask you something.
Look at my fat.
Do you drink?
Look at me sitting there. No, not really. Not really. I mean, I do.
See, that's what kills people. When you're drinking, that's how you gain weight quickly.
I never gained weight drinking.
Right.
I gain weight eating. Yeah.
I can drink. I gain weight drinking.
Well, so I drank vodka soda because it didn't really do much.
Teals is good.
But I quit drinking one night when I drank about 6 bottles of wine, my favorite wine, which is never fails.
What is your favorite wine?
Camus Special Select.
Being a wino.
Camus Special Select.
Ooh. Okay.
If you never had it, trust me, go get it.
Camus is great. They have great wines.
Yeah, but it's not just Camus.
Special Select.
Special Select.
Wow. Okay.
It's delicious. But anyway, we drank about 6 bottles of it, me and a couple. My wife and my friend and his wife.
Right.
And apparently by the end of it, I was calling his wife a stuck-up bitch and something stupid like a dumbass. And she might be a little bit uppity, but she's a sweetheart.
Right.
But I got drunk like a dumbass, and I woke up the next day, didn't even remember how I got home, and apparently I drove. My wife was madder than hell and saying I just totally embarrassed us. I'm like, why? What the hell happened? And she told me basically what had happened, and I couldn't freaking believe it. And I thought to myself, dude, there's no need for that ever again. So I said, babe, I promise you I will never get drunk again. And she said, yeah, sure. Because I said it before once or twice, but it's accidental. And the reason it's accidental is because I'll start having a drink or two, and then it starts to feel good, but I don't realize only the first one's hitting me.
Right.
The second and third hasn't hit me yet.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, I've had 3. Let me have another one. It feels pretty good. So I'll have another one and another one. And next thing you know, I've had 5 drinks, and now the second one's hitting me. And I feel pretty good. So let me have another one. Now I'm on my 6th drink. Well, shit, dude, I ain't been hurt. Next thing you know, dude, I'm cross-eyed looking like a dumbass. And I saw a video of me sometimes where it's like, I look cross-eyed, and they're like, oh, dude, you were. It was funny as hell. I'm like, what are you talking about? I walked around like that? And I'm like, I'm one of those drunk ass idiots.
Right.
So once I realized I'm a drunk ass idiot, I'm not drinking anymore. I just stopped drinking to a point of getting drunk. If you said, hey, let's have a glass of wine at dinner, sure, I'll drink a glass of wine.
Right.
And quite frankly, I will get drunk sometimes, just very rarely. So when people say, do you drink? I usually say no, because I don't. I haven't had a drink in probably 6 months, but it doesn't mean I don't, because I would. I just haven't.
Right.
And when I'm working out, I really don't, because the next day I don't want to work out.
Right.
So at the end of the day, birthdays, special occasions, I might drink a couple bottles of champagne with somebody celebrating something and getting a little loose, but I'll never be cross-eyed drunk again.
Right. Sloppy drunk.
Never doing that again.
Are you a foodie?
Yeah.
You like going out and eat?
Love it.
What's your favorite food?
I like steak,
I do too.
But, a killer
What's
steak.
the best steakhouse you feel in Vegas that you love?
I would say, I used to say STK, but it's gone down a little.
Yeah.
Del Frisco's is always pretty
Solid.
good, but believe it or not, it's gone down a little.
Really?
Yeah. What's crazy is, like, right now, if you said flavor wise, go get any steak you want, Fleming's.
Really? Fleming's?
Right now, Fleming's.
What about Joe's? That's from Chicago.
Joe's all right.
Yeah.
Joe's Crab Shack's good, but it's all right.
No, I'm saying Joe's Seafood and Crab and Caesar's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that place.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But Fleming's tasted a little better.
Really?
I just get a New York strip.
With butter or without? Because they always cook it with butter.
With.
Yeah.
I ain't afraid of real butter.
Yeah.
That was my last guest also. He had all kinds of health issues.
Yeah.
Just went straight, animal based.
Uh-huh.
Hasn't had any issues. His cholesterol's great. Real butter.
Right.
Not that margarine shit.
Yeah.
But real butter, eggs, with the yolk, all that shit. He says eats red meat, 3, 4, 5 times a day.
And no cholesterol issues?
No issues.
Wow.
He feels the best he's ever felt, yada, yada, yada. And crazy enough, like when I start getting back into shape, which that's the phase I'm in now, I'll eat like 6 ounces of steak and a half of avocado. That's like a meal. And to me, it's fucking good, dude.
Yeah.
But the consistency is where you were going. The consistency is key. And that's why I built this business. I was consistently doing the work for 8 years without ever stopping, and only because I literally thought I was going to be rich any day now. If I were smarter, I would have quit, right? Because I would have known, dude, this is going to take 8 damn years. And I said, I ain't doing this 8 years. But I was just foolish. So I just looked down, boom, look down, boom, look down, boom. Next thing you know, hey, old Jed is a millionaire.
That's right.
Look, that was easy. And I really do think it was easy. Like
Right.
people like, oh, tell us about the hard times. I don't think I had any hard times. Like, it wasn't really that difficult, but it was consistency. If someone said, Brad, what was the secret? I didn't stop.
That's right.
Or you were saying persistency.
Well, you got to be persistent. You got to be consistent. You have to be reliable. One of the things I see challenges that people say to me, like, I have these employee challenges. Well, tell me about them. What are your values? Well, they don't live within my values. Well, that's why you're struggling, because they're outside your values.
So what do you do with them?
Right. So you either realign them to help them become in your values, if that's possible, or you get rid of them. There's no choice.
Well, one of my values here, we have 13, I call them we have 12. I call them the dirty dozen.
Yeah. I actually saw them. They're around the wall. Is that what? Yeah. I took a picture of it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. So those are mine. It took me a long time to think those up.
Uh-huh.
And, sometimes I'll notice somebody here not necessarily being respectful, let's say, because that's one of them.
That's right.
Not moving fast. We are fast. So I'll say something and, they won't know what to say, because my rule here is, listen, I am open to changing those core values. I have an open mind. Let me know about any of those that you don't think should be on there. And I just can't wait for someone stupid enough to say that doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
Which one?
Right.
The one that says we respect each other.
Right. Or 100% honesty.
Or anything.
Right,
like,
right.
dude, you're going
Right.
to say one of
You know
those
what?
are bad?
Get rid of the 100% honesty, Brad, because I'm only 80%. Well, you know what? The door's right there.
Or if you're stupid enough to bring up any of them.
Exactly.
But especially that one.
Right.
But to me, it's tough because, we are I think it says we respect each other.
That's right.
Well, sometimes you get mad at people and you're like, you motherfucking son of a bitch, or Brad, you cuss. That's not respectful. Now we're getting into definitions.
Yeah.
Because to me,
that's a challenge.
respectful to me isn't necessarily, I won't, say something about you as long as I'm saying it to you or in front of you.
Right.
But if I'm saying, as soon as you leave, dude, Ben fucking can't close a door, but you're my sales manager.
Right.
Well, dude, that's kind of disrespectful, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Nobody should be doing that.
No.
But I do catch a little of that. And then I think to myself, I literally have to blow them out because I've already said things 2 or 3 times. And so now I realize, dude, I'm the one at fault, because if I say these are our core values and if you don't abide by them, you're out. Right. And then I see you don't abide by them, but you're not out.
Right.
That's my fault.
Exactly. Well, yeah, negative emotions are always created from the responsibilities we avoid. And that's always the case. And one thing I found with employees is that I've learned, we come from the same generation. You earn it. People are tough on you and you grind it out. Sometimes I'm tough on people and I do it with love. And they take it. They're like, you're being a jerk. You're being hard. I'm hard on you because I actually care about your well-being, because it's good for you that I'm hard on you. So if you want to become the person that has these goals outlined that you tell me, that's how you're going to get there. You can't be soft. You gotta focus, be committed to what you're doing. And people talk about that word commitment, but they're really not. It's because they don't show up every day. They don't bring it every day. They're not enhancing their expertise. And I see it over and over. And they're saying, well, why are you hard on me? Well, because if I'm not hard on you, who else is going to be hard on you? No one else is stepping up and giving you the advice. No one else is saying, hey, you're doing the wrong things, or you're acting like an idiot, or you're not showing up. And this new generation we're dealing with, Brad, they're soft. And I say this to my kids. I said, when you go and you start a new job, because my oldest son, Joey, just got a job. He graduated from USC. He's 23 years old. And I taught him. I said, look, you're starting a new job in July. You just graduated college. Guess what? You're the first one in, last one to leave. Those superiors that are running that company should know, who is that kid who's here before us? Who is he that he's walking out the door after us? It sends a message. You don't have to be the brightest. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable. But when you have behavior that shows you're committed, guess what? Hey, come to the game with us. We're going to see the Laker game. You want to come with? You have all these opportunities to network just from doing simple things.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen in a week.
Right.
I see people coming in early, staying late for about a week.
Yeah.
And they're like, nobody's noticing this.
Right.
Dude, it doesn't take a week. Sometimes it might take years.
You know what I find the best employees are the ones that are buck stops here people. They treat that, like for in your business, Lightspeed, they treat Lightspeed like it's their own. And I bet you if you looked at all your employees and saw that common element, like what creates that comfort level that when you turn your back, that particular employee has it. You know why? Because they are a buck stops here person. I own Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Brad's performance, his revenue, everything about his mission is important to me. And you know what? If I live on his mission, I'm on the train with him. I know at the end of the day, he's going to take care of me because he's a good person. He does what he says he's going to do because he has his values on the wall. That's how strong he believes in it. And when you have those type of people, that's when life's good. When you could turn around and you got gold behind you, I love that in employees in my business. Yeah. And I have a tremendous amount of great leaders in that way.
How many employees do you have?
Right now we have about 25 around the country, and then we have independent contractors. We realize we don't need as many people working for us because we can outsource a lot of things. But there's critical things we have. It's our leadership team, acquisitions, investor relations, and property management. Those 3 items are critical to staff up. Everything else, administration, we have, but we outsource a lot of things that we have that can be independent contractors to eliminate our overhead. We got smart. For years, we had all these people. And I said, what are we doing? And so we empower people we also got into the VA business about 4 years ago. My good friend, Steve Rosenberg, who you know.
Yeah. Steve
said to me, he's like, he came in and do some consulting.
Maybe that's how we were introduced.
Probably.
Was it Steve?
Yeah, it might have been Steve. So Steve said to me, he's like, we got to go the VA route, just like I did in my company. I go, what do you mean? He goes, we're going to bring in VAs from Mexico. They're very talented, and they're going to be employees, and you can add them to your 25. But what we'll do is their hourly wages, they're loyal, they're dependable, they're consistent. You'll love it. So I said, all right, we'll try it. Next thing you know, we have dozens of VAs working in major departments now. It was a great move. It was great advice. So we're constantly learning and retooling. And with this environment and technology, we realized, Brad, we don't need so many people working for us like we did back in the day.
Yeah.
We're not dealing with green ledger paper. We're dealing with online portals. We have a proprietary investor portal. Acquisitions are more readily available. We could do different marketing. So we can scale at a different pace with technology and not have to be so dependent on human capital. And that's what's changed in our business over the years.
That's good too.
Yeah, it's a
and
beautiful
it applies
thing.
In a lot of areas, ours especially.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I said when you say you can't fill this place up, I mean, well, I could.
Right. Do you want to?
No.
Right.
I have less Voss waters getting drank. I put kegs in here. People are like, you let your employees drink beer? Is it against the law? Like,
Right.
I didn't know it was against the law.
Right.
So it's like, I have kegs. If they want to have a beer, go ahead. If they get drunk and stupid, they'd be terminated. But sure, they can have a beer if they want one, especially when it's hot and you want a cold beer. Like, there you go. We got a game room over here, but there's just less to deal with when there's less people in the office.
That's right.
So I have about 20, maybe 25 or 30 that work in the office. I got another, let's say 30 to 60 that work outside.
Okay.
Half of those probably 1099, so technically not employees.
Right.
And they like it.
Right.
And I'm like, well, then stay out there.
That's right.
And nowadays, like, dude, I'm going to start looking at the VA route. I always recommend VAs. Why? Because I know a guy that has all VAs. It's him and a bunch of VAs. And the VAs have called me for him and talked to me and I'm like, these dudes are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
They don't sound like it. Number
No.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, they are smart. Number three, holy shit, dude, you got a good team. I only talk to him on the phone.
They're loyal too.
And dude, he's paying them in reality $150 a week. And I said, shut the fuck up. $150 a week is what you pay them. He said, no, once in a while we'll, give them a bonus. But ultimately over there, that's apparently a lot of money.
Yes.
And I'm like, dude, I got to start looking at VAs. You just reconfirmed
well,
it.
I'll tell you, we pay anywhere from 8 to the Michael Jordans of VAs. I call him. One of them is in acquisitions. This guy, he started off out of the box $13.50 an hour. And I said, all right, well, we'll try that. And was it in California? I think it's like $15.50 is minimum wage. So we said $13.50. Great, we'll try him out. The guy was like Michael Jordan. And then we brought in Scottie Pippen right behind him in the same department. We said, oh my God, this is really working. These guys can database. They understand technology. They're young guys in their 20s. They're women too.
Where'd you find them?
We found them through just networking and finding VAs, like different services. And what happened was then our director of property management, she's been with me for over 15 years. She said, I want some VAs. I go, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to work on Yardi, our software. They're going to work on following up on maintenance items, all these things. She brought in like 5 of them. And she's been so happy and she's kicking butt. And it's because she was able to leverage her time to make it work. So I've learned that. And I said, okay, well, I could bring in a VA. And these VAs, Brad, are loyal. They will drink whatever Kool-Aid you're selling because they believe in the mission. You treat them well. You understand their holidays. Okay, let's say in the Philippines, where are the holidays? And you respect it and you treat them like family. They'll probably be better employees than some of the people you can grab here because they're loyal. They're grateful for the opportunity. It's a culture. It's like, thank you, Brad, for giving us an opportunity. Thank you for helping us learn something.
They're not entitled and spoiled.
There's no entitlement. It's more about thanks for helping us put food on the table. Thanks for helping us grow as a person. It's just really intelligent stuff you deal with these VAs.
Well, dude, I'm glad you had an opportunity to stop by. In person's always better.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of your success for you. Congratulations. Building the company from zero to what is it over?
Right now, we've had billions of dollars of assets during the incredible times of compressed cap rates. We sold off hundreds of millions of properties. So For us right now, we probably have about $500 million under management. We feel our goal is by 2026 to have over $7 billion back under management.
So it's going back up?
It's going to go back up significantly, and we're going to get into different asset classes, which our investors are going to be thrilled about. And then I will walk out into the sunset.
What are skyscrapers worth?
Like if you ever been in downtown Chicago, you see the John Hancock, you see the Willis Tower.
I call those skyscrapers.
Yeah, so those are large office towers.
What
Those
are they
would be
worth,
skyscrapers.
roughly?
What's that?
What are they worth?
It could be anything. Willis Tower trade hands, they could be worth billions of dollars to hundreds of millions, depending on the square footage and the size.
Well, Nashville?
Yeah, very well.
There's a building I want there.
Oh, yeah?
It's the AT&T building.
Okay.
Looks like Batman.
Uh-huh.
You know the one I'm talking about?
I know the one you're talking about.
I want that building. And every time I go there with my wife, because she wants to move there, I keep looking at it and I'm like, dude, I love that building. I want that building. And I always wonder, I wonder how much a building like that actually is.
You got to get the rent roll.
But what do you think it actually is?
Depends how many square feet. Like we
It's
talked about
huge.
earlier.
You've seen it?
Yeah. If you get the rent roll and everything, it's probably, that could be, $1.5 billion. Could be a couple billion. Could be $1 billion.
And what do you got to put down on that?
Well, you're probably going to put down, at least in this market with these lenders, and you're probably going to get an institution to finance it or partner with you.
You'd have to.
It depends who your partner is. You might have to put down 25% equity.
So if it's $1 billion, you're going to have to raise $250 million.
Well, you have closing costs too. Say it's 300.
So you have to raise $300 million.
Yeah, that's the business. Welcome to the show, Brad. That's what we deal in. Big numbers. That's why I got into commercial. That's why I don't do residential, because I like big numbers.
Well, it's easier just to go with a guy like you and let you guys do it.
Of course. Well, that's why I recommend. I would, when you get into medical office investing, people are like, I want to do that. Do you? You know how many different niches are in the medical space? Think about you and your family, okay? Think about all the medical tenants you go see. Your wife goes to OBGYN. You might go to gastro, dermatology for the kids breaks an arm, orthopedic. These are all the niches we invest in. Well, they all have different licensing laws. They have different requirements of how they make money in every single state and county you're in. And so you look at these things. We've spent decades figuring out all the niches and how they work and the barriers to entry. So when we go and we buy a deal, we know, and here's my quote, trademarked, the human body is never going out of style. And with that being said, when you find a property and tenant that has deep roots, think about your kid's pediatrician. They've been there for decades, usually, these doctors. Why? It builds a community, deep roots. They don't like to move. They constantly are investing in the property. These are what our tenants do. We have an upper 80s percentile renewal rate of our tenants. You know how tremendously important that aspect is? Think about this. We go and negotiate a lease, and they need to be there. Rent might go up. I am constantly thinking about how am I going to add value? Well, guess what? My investors benefit from all this experience and knowing all the different niches. So when people say, I want to go do it.
But they're not going to make as much if they, they might make a lot less doing it themselves because they don't know what they're doing, is your point.
Right.
But my point is, if I give you the money, I'm going to get this much. If I go do it myself, I'll get this much.
Oh, that's a false promise because, first of all, we talked about time. Time is your most precious asset, right? Well, think about this. You have to get up to speed on the learning curve. You have to manage the property or hire people. You have a whole new business you get into commercial real estate, and then you got to be an expert. So would you rather invest with Ben and make a shitload of money with him and experts and protect your downside and get you tax benefits because he knows how to drive your tax benefits and save you money on taxes, or go do it yourself?
Yeah, the first one.
Let me throw you out in the water.
The first one.
What?
The first one.
Yeah, but remember time. Time is huge.
Yeah, but I'm saying the first one, hire Ben.
I'm saying
invest with Ben.
But once you invest with Ben, and I can tell you this from history with our investors, you're not leaving our universe because I'm going to spoil you.
So for everybody listening, where do they go invest again?
Go to alliancecgc.com, or they can follow me on social media. If you go to my company, alliancecgc.com, you can learn how to invest passively in commercial real estate, specifically medical office, and we will help you build wealth and a legacy for your family.
Yeah, it sounds like a much smarter move than trying to do it yourself.
Well, I look back from 3 decades and look at where I started and where we are today. I would bet on a horse like Alliance, who has 3 decades of experience 200 plus years of leadership team experience in commercial real estate and is solutionary oriented.
There you have it, folks. Or go follow him, send him a DM, The Real Ben Reinberg. Go listen to his podcast, I Own It. Make sure he knows the Bomb Squad sent you. You heard him on the Bomb Squad. Until next time, keep it real.
A lot of times people are looking to learn things when they should actually unlearn some things. And then there's people that think they need to learn things when they just need to remember things. So sometimes we get in a little bit of a comfort zone and we have to be reminded. You know, sometimes an unexpected bill or situation reminds us real quick, but you know, I think good leadership and a good culture keeps kind of the why on the forefront.